I think I already told you that I did see the ET of mine that has helped me. That's my escort and has been all my life.
Yeah.
And he has aged. And it tells me perhaps it's going to be his time to move to the next level, if you will.
Oh, okay.
So many people are being called now to support and help others in such a way that they haven't before.
Yeah.
And they feel this calling and to get prepared to help them along to whatever's going to happen in all different stages. Some may just make sure that people have food and that they're safe and are under cover of some sort. Others may be guides or escorts to the next place where they're going to be. It's just such a huge, would be such a huge undertaking for us as humans. Those of us that have been taken, have we been trained?
Hey there, beautiful souls. It's your girl, Allie, and we are back at it again for another episode of Living Life Consciously. We have a very special guest lined up for you today, and we are stoked to get started. So without further ado, Justin, say hey.
Hey there, Cosmic Truth Seekers. I'm Justin. This is Living Life Consciously, where we explore the extraordinary, ride the waves of inspiration, and embark on an adventure of limitless curiosity together.
Hey there, I am looking forward to doing this with you and to tell you some things that hopefully you haven't heard about before.
Ooh, sounds good. Denise, sounds good already. And for our audience, what if the truth about extraterrestrial contact has been unfolding right here on Earth for decades? In this powerful episode of Living Life Consciously, we're sitting down with Denise Stoner, a renowned UFO researcher, hypnotic regression specialist, and longtime investigator with Mutual UFO Network, also known as MUFON. Denise has spent over 40 years working with experiencers, people who report encounters with non-human intelligence, and helping them uncover hidden memories through regression hypnosis. But what makes her story even more compelling is that she's not just studying the phenomena, she's lived it herself. Today, we'll explore deeper layers of alien abduction experiences, from the mystery of missing time to the detailed description of advanced craft and technology, to the striking similarities between cases that suggest something much bigger may be going on. We'll also dive into her work as co-author of the book, The Alien Abduction Files, where documented cases reveal patterns that challenge everything we think we know about reality. This conversation goes beyond just UFOs into consciousness, past lives, and the possibility that these encounters are connected to a much larger cosmic picture. Denise, thank you so much for being with us here today. I'm glad to have you on the show.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes. Okay. All right. So where would you like to start the conversation? Would you like to start at the very, very beginning, or would you like to start with how you jumped into this phenomenon personally?
Oh boy. Well, I can, let's start where I started, where this began for me.
Absolutely.
Okay. They say that we don't have memories when we're very, very young, but we do. I was 2.5. And my mom was in the hospital giving birth to my sister, my only sibling, the first time she ever left me. Now, my grandparents on her side lived with us, so my grandfather was taking care of me and doing the dishes. I was in a little living room, it was very small, with a sofa in it, the smaller of the 2 rooms that we had in the home, and I had climbed up on it. I was standing looking out the window that was right to the back of that sofa. And there was nothing but a field, same way today. Someone took a picture of that same home for me not long ago. And looked out, and right above the telephone lines was a huge, it was enormous, yellow, kind of gold, bright light contained within, not reflecting on the ground, egg-shaped object. And here I'm 2.5. So I'm thinking, that's got to be Humpty Dumpty. That's exactly what I thought. And I started looking for his arms and legs and his mouth and nose, and I couldn't find them. And right then my grandfather came in to check on me. I remember exactly what he looked like as far as his expression. He had the dish towel over his right arm, and he was just checking to see how I was doing. And I said, "Grandpa, what is Humpty Dumpty doing up in the sky?" And he looked kind of strange, and I moved the curtain and he saw it, and I saw fear. I can recall fear on his face. And he was from World War II, fought in the trenches in France in a kilt. He's Scottish, it was. And so very brave individual, but that look on his face told me maybe that's not Humpty Dumpty. So he said, "Let's go upstairs and get ready for bed, and I'll read you your story." So up we went, and he got me ready, put me into bed, and said good night and left. Well, my wallpaper was all nursery rhyme characters, and I remembered I started looking for Humpty Dumpty. And there he wasn't in there. Everybody else was, but not him. And as I was doing that, here's this little figure that stepped out of the wallpaper, like a little monk dressed in a hooded kind of robe, had a waist tied with some sort of belt. The sleeves were bell-shaped and hung quite a ways down. He walked up to my bed, and where I was lying and looking at him, I sat up. I was looking right into his eyes. He was real tiny.
Okay.
And I saw one hand had a long, narrow object of some kind in his hand, and at the end of it was lit, tiny little light. And he never mentioned it. He just said, would I go with him? Well, I was not fearful, especially back in those days. Kids were not afraid of much. So I said, okay. And he took me by his free hand, and we walked out into the hall, and he touched the wallpaper with that little object, tool, whatever it was. And as he did, we walked right through the wallpaper and ended up in some kind of silver room that curved. I was looking all through it. There wasn't much to be seen. There was a bench, had no seams, no nuts and bolts. It was all one piece. And I looked way down on the end, and I saw another entity just like him, had kind of some piece of paper or notebook that he was holding, and there were a whole bunch of kids down there all in their pajamas.
My gosh.
I couldn't hear what they were saying, but he was talking to them, and they were all listening very carefully. So I just had a minute or so. He turned us around. We walked back through the wallpaper to my hallway, and he put me in bed. And that was my first experience.
Wow.
Whoa, I have so many questions. Oh my gosh. All right. The first one I would love to ask you, if you don't mind, is did you recognize any of the other kids? Like, were they kids from your neighborhood?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay.
They were kids from my school, kids, because I was just in like a preschool type thing, so that my mom could work and my dad worked, my grandmother worked. And so I went to this little preschool, and there were maybe 5 or 10 kids. I recognized some of them.
Wow.
That is so fascinating.
Have you ever talked to those kids as adults about that experience?
Not those ones. I was not able to find any of them, and I only remembered 1 or 2 names. But yeah, I wish that I could, every single one of them.
Sure. Yeah. See, I'm thinking back to when I was in kindergarten, and I can remember so many faces, but I don't know their names.
No. Yeah, it was very interesting. I was very intrigued, and I did tell my mom when I was older. I think I was about 4 when I told her, and she said, "Oh, do you have an imaginary friend?" And I said, "No." No, he's real. She never argued or said, "No, let's talk about this," to try and convince me it wasn't true. Why? I don't know. But I think perhaps with 2 different stories she told me, she had perhaps been taken also.
Kathleen Martin said that it's generational. And we've heard that before.
Yeah,
I've
heard that so many times.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
That's another interesting factoid.
Yep. And Kathleen Martin has always been my investigator, has my medical records, has everything that I could give to her. And she was my hypnotist also.
Okay.
So interesting. All right, let's table that for a sec. I would like to get a few more details about your story before we move on, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You described the creature as being short in stature, wearing a robe, holding what I'm going to describe as like a wand. It's like a pole with a light on the end, a wand almost, maybe, right?
Yes, very thin.
What did they look like, though, in their face?
Oh, he looked like a typical gray. The first time I ever saw the gray, I could see the great big almond eyes under the hood looking at me. Yeah.
This is so interesting because we've spoken with somebody, Reverend Bill McDonald, who had an encounter when he was 4, and he described little gray creatures coming in the room and what his 4-year-old self described as a fishing pole, only because it was a long metal thing that got tapered and smaller toward the tip.
Right.
And he said that they were using it in like
a wand to...
Yeah, so as soon as you said that, I was like, wait a minute, we've heard that before.
Yeah, Bill said that, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I did not know that. So, that's interesting. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, man. So a whole neighborhood abduction. I'm still stuck on that.
I think so. Yeah.
What messages do you remember them expressing to you during that time?
Right then, all they did was show me the other kids and the room, what was involved and how to get there and so forth. And then he started to come back quite often. At first, I would say every 2 to 3 weeks, and then more often than that. And as I grew older, it just occurred. It was natural. I began to feel a connection with this ET. I like to call him my ET. He's been with me all those years. And just recently, when I was doing a meditation with some people who were studying that connection between people who are meditating together, and then explaining what our experience was after we complete one. And I saw my ET, and he has aged. He has grown older, which I did not expect to see. Yeah.
That's the first I've heard that.
Same.
Yep.
Yeah.
Same.
I felt sad for him. I did. I never pictured him wanting or needing to or aging at all. And I've always said that if you placed him in a police lineup and then with others like him, and we called people in to come and identify, they would not be able to pick mine out. But I could.
But you could.
I could.
Okay.
Did you ever ask this entity, I'm unsure if it's a he, she, or if they're just androgynous, their name?
I think it's a he.
He, okay. What's his name?
We do not know, because when I've asked, I've gotten nothing but a very kind of a buzzy sound back in return. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So, I have another question that's brewing in my brain. You said that the first one happened when your mom was giving birth to your sister.
Yeah.
Is your sister an experiencer? Was she going through these same things at the same time as you?
I think so. She has passed on, but she did not ever want to discuss it. But she said enough, and I saw the emotions in her that it told me. And when she was brought home, and her crib was put right next to my bed, and I woke up and I saw her being lifted over the top of the crib, floated and taken. My dad began to think she was a little Houdini escape artist, so he came in and built the ends of the crib up. My mom could get her up. She couldn't get up. It didn't matter. She floated right over the top.
Okay. Wow.
Wow.
Isn't that interesting?
It is.
It's so interesting. Maybe, and Mindy, forgive me if you're watching this, but
that's his sister.
So my sister is adamant about not talking about this. Anytime I bring it up, she tunes me out. Maybe the reason why she does that is because maybe something happened to her and she doesn't want to think about it.
Perhaps
that could be.
I don't know.
Because all my sister's life, she absolutely would not discuss it.
And see, if she felt that strongly about not discussing it, there was a reason why she didn't want to.
Yes. And when I co-authored the book with Kathleen Martin, she would not read it and did not ask for a copy. I offered my mom one so they could both read it. My mom took it. She did not.
Interesting. So yeah,
I need to buy that book.
there's a hard block with your sister not wanting to engage in it. So I'm going to assume that she had some kind of experience, threw her off, made her totally uncomfortable, and she just wanted to build a wall around it and pretend like it didn't exist. That's just my interpretation.
I think so. Yes.
You agree? Okay.
Yeah,
Very
I agree.
interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. So did you ever try to rationalize or dismiss your early encounters, or did you go straight from like experiencer to investigator? Like, what was your progression with this?
I did not feel like this was not happening, that somebody was coming in costume. I never felt any of that. I just thought, this is real. This is happening. Now, when I got older and we were taken, I kind of questioned and tried to justify what happened, because they did erase some of my memory to do with that. And especially with missing time of up to 3 hours crossing a place called South Park in Colorado.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you believe? Yeah.
Right.
We left from Denver. Every Friday night we had a camp where, well, it was more than a camp because we had trailers up there in a place called Buena Vista, and it was a ranch outside of that town. So we were driving there. We liked to get there before the darkness came, because my mom met us on the other end from Colorado Springs. So there were only 2 intersecting roads, one from Denver, one from Colorado Springs. You couldn't go anywhere else.
Okay.
And it was high desert, all the way from South Park. We stopped always and just stretched our legs, and it was a long trip for us, a couple of hours. And so we stopped. I was looking down over the valley, and I saw 2 lights, and they were just kind of hovering there, and they didn't look normal. So we got in the car and went down to the base into South Park. And there's a little town called Jefferson down at the bottom of the hill. We passed Jefferson. About 4 miles outside of that, the lights headed for us.
Oh, wow.
There were built, I don't know what exactly you'd call them, kind of snow barriers on either side, because in the winter it was wicked. Snowstorms and wind, and they didn't want accidents to happen to truckers who came through and tried to drive in that with other cars. Also, when the tumbleweed would bloom, they were enormous, and if they blew across in front of you, they could block your vision.
Are they that big? Wow.
So they're big, yes, especially when they dried up, broke loose, and blew across. And so these snow barriers were put up for a couple of different reasons. When we got down past Jefferson, the lights were now over the road, moved over our car, and I turned to talk to my husband and say, "But what is that?" I didn't think UFO yet. And he was frozen to the wheel, his eyes just staring. He was holding onto the wheel and didn't respond. So the next thing we knew, it was dark, and we were on the other side of the pass. We had ended up in a place called Trout Creek Pass.
Okay.
It was pitch dark. Somebody had turned the headlights on. The engine was still running. And it was a new car. So we set the odometer to see exactly if it worked, make sure everything was running okay. And it hadn't changed. The mileage from one side of the pass to the other was the same.
Wow.
So we lost, well, again, 2.5 to 3 hours.
Wow.
We were fearful. I did say something like, could that have been a UFO? But my memory was just kind of swarming with all kinds of thoughts. And it had been a while since I'd been taken. But we decided to go on into Buena Vista. It was about 7 to 9 miles. So we drove on in and had to go outside of town to find the ranch that we were on. It was a dirt road. And when we turned down the dirt road, here's my mom and dad. Of course, no cell phones back then.
Right.
My mom and dad and family friends were headed for the ranch house so they could borrow the phone, because we were never late. They were going to call police departments and so forth.
Send out the brigade.
Yep. And my dad was going to start driving toward Denver in case we were down in a ditch somewhere. And my dad came up to the window and, are you all right? And what happened? Where have you been? And I just said, I don't know. And he looked. Well, he was in aerospace and had a clearance. Okay. So he knew that perhaps he wasn't going to push that issue. My mom, on the other hand, was I have a need to know no matter what. Tell me what it is. So they kind of balanced each other. And she said, you have to know. Yeah, you have to know. You have to. Where have you been? I don't know. So
Wow.
we went on, had a late dinner, and that was that.
Wow.
So many experiencers report missing time. I mean, we just spoke with Kathleen Martin not that long ago, and she was talking about the Betty and Barney Hill case. And
Yes.
so many experiencers just have a huge gap from when they first have the sighting to all of a sudden it's hours later and they're somewhere else in a totally different spot, which means that the whole car also is being abducted, right?
Right.
So it's
So they, to me, it sounds like they took you guys and the car.
Right. And in the Betty and Barney Hill case, Delcy the dog was with them too. So like I'm wanting an animal communicator to communicate with Delcy to find out what Delcy knows, you know?
We had our little dog with us.
Really?
Yes, that's what made Kathy feel like, oh, this sounds like what happened to my aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
And I did recall our car beginning to lift off the road and the tires were scraping sideways so that we went over the top of that barrier, the snow barrier, and we were taken way off in the distance. I know that. And then when we landed, the lights with a big object in between came over the hood and sat down in front of us.
What color were those lights?
The lights were just a big, bright kind of yellow gold.
Yellow gold, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what do you think the deal with missing time is? Is it like they're literally physically taken and then that memory is just like for that time period is just blocked and that's why people can't remember and like that's the only explanation, or do you think it's something else?
No, I think depending upon what they were up to that particular time, they blocked the whole thing, just kind of hoping, I think, that it would take the fear, worry, concern away. But missing 3 hours made me very concerned.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, like what went on here. And I did have some recall, but it was all scattered and broken up, so I couldn't put any of it together.
Okay.
Is that how you got interested in becoming a hypnotist and exploring past life regressions and like, you know, hypnosis to explore memories? Is that how you got into all that?
Yes. And where I worked for Park Service, I had a good friend that I had shared with. And we were sitting at lunch one day and I saw an ad by a psychologist looking for volunteers that he would test first to be good subjects in hypnosis. And I said to her, let's do that. Would you want to go? And she said, yes. Well, she was the type, she was funny and didn't know it. We're driving there. And I said, there's the building. Oh, it's all boarded up. Well, it wasn't. There were boards that were decorative on the sides of the windows, but she's beginning to panic. We get out of the car and she said, you're not going to tell the truth, are you? Well, what are we going to use for our names and addresses if they ask us to fill out forms, which they did? And I said, I'm just going to, he's a psychologist. That's his office. I don't know. Yeah. So we went in.
Okay.
And there are 10 levels of hypnosis that you can reach. Very rare to find someone that goes, beyond a 6. I went to a 10 immediately.
Wow.
I was gone. She faked it and pretended, which he knew.
Okay.
Yes. He knew too. That's so funny.
So she was not selected for his research.
Understandably.
And so I worked with him. His name was Dr. Romack. He has passed away. We became good friends and did research on near-death experiences, the UFOs, all of that for 5 years.
Wow.
So he taught me a lot, and then I took courses.
Okay. We've talked to so many people that have had a near-death experience.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we've probably literally talked to 30 people at least.
And we've spoken to people that research it and have written books on other people's accounts. So it's kind of like, you know, times 10 times each, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like there's this overall theme, you know, with NDE, with people that have had a near-death experience, a UFO abduction, some type of paranormal experience. It's all related.
It is. There's an institute where the gentleman that began it wrote a book called Journey of Souls.
IANS? Is that Raymond Moody?
Yeah. No, that's not Moody. What is his name? I can't recall his name, just the name of the book.
Okay.
And you will read all of this gentleman's work on hypnosis, near-death experiences with those who came to him. And it just clicked with me immediately. Like, oh my goodness, all of this is true. Yeah.
Wow. And now you kind of threw a little bomb on my conversation when we first talked before we started the show that you are also an NDE survivor. I didn't even know that when I booked this call with you, girl. So I was shocked by that. If you want to dive into that, that's cool. If not, we can skip it.
Sure. I'm willing to.
Great,
I want people to know, and I also want to compare what's happened with others. That's part of my research.
Oh, sure.
Yes, okay. Yeah. Cool. Floor is yours.
Well, 5 months after I gave birth to my daughter, I became really ill. And people said, oh, you're too young to have this and that. I had a headache that didn't go away. They said, you need glasses. I went and got glasses. Headache didn't go away. And I was sitting at home one day, and all of a sudden I felt a funny pop. It didn't hurt, just a pop in my head. And I realized the headache was gone, but I didn't know who I was, who anybody was, couldn't recognize the individuals on the TV show I'd watched every day. And I thought I better call my husband. So I called, and if he doesn't answer the phone, I don't know who to ask for. All this was running, but he did. He answered the phone.
Okay.
And when he said, what's going on? And I said, I don't know. That's all I could say. Well, have you been drinking? He said, he's trying to. I said, I don't know. So we continued along that line, and he finally said, I'm coming home.
Okay.
So he did, and he knew right away something was really wrong. I'd had 2 strokes.
I was thinking aneurysm. Okay.
No.
2 strokes.
It was a hemorrhagic stroke, so it was a bleed out, but caused by a clot.
Okay.
And so he knew I couldn't work my right side. I had no speech except the I don't know. And I had a 5-month-old baby that I knew, oh my goodness, what am I going to do? It's all running through in common sense manner in your brain, but nothing else is going to come out. So he took me to the hospital. His boss called, and because he had left work, and said, is she okay? What's going on? And he said, I want you to transfer hospitals. And he said, I'm going to call them. And he was a very, very wealthy man. This was a very private hospital, and he got me in, which thank goodness, or I wouldn't be here.
Wow.
So went, and they called in several people. I had like 5 neurologists, and they decided that I had brain tumors. So back in 1969, they didn't have equipment, MRIs and scans and all that. They had to do strange things like go in through the carotid artery and drain this to x-ray the brain, all of that.
Whoa.
Wow.
So yeah, it was. So a couple of different things happened. One, I was lying in bed, and I don't know if you want to leave this in or not, but I vomited. And it was the oddest shade of green you've ever seen.
Okay.
So then a nurse appeared, only she was wearing 1950s style nurse's uniform. She had kind of fuzzy, thin hair and almond-shaped eyes.
Oh.
And she leaned over me. She floated me above my sheets, took those sheets off, rolled them up, put fresh sheets on, and lowered me back down, and then leaned over and said, it's okay. You're going to be all right. I felt she was telling me the truth. And she said, I'm going to get these sheets to the lab for you. And she left. And then my doctor came in, and apparently I'd had my hand on the button, and they knew something was going on, came in, and he said, where are those sheets? And the nurse took them, and they looked all over for her, and they were not in the hospital that they could find. The only thing I had left was a stain on the gown, but not enough for them to find out what it was. They did not know what was going on, so they sent me to ICU, and then I developed horrendous abdominal pain. Nothing would stop it. They gave the highest dose of morphine you could give, and it didn't stop it. So a doctor was on his way in, a surgeon who saved my life, basically. And I don't know why. Found out later that 31 women had had this same thing, and they were all dead.
Wow.
He worked for 6 hours. He resected my small bowel. I only have 3 feet of 22 small intestines. It was solid blood clots and gangrene.
And gangrene.
And gangrene. Because some of them...
Your intestines must have literally died.
Right.
Oof.
They did. So he cut them out. He had to.
Wow. Well, shout out to that surgeon for saving your life.
Oh, you bet. You bet.
Yeah.
He gave me 20% chance to live.
Ooh, that's kind of low.
Told my husband, fix it up, her paperwork, get it done, because we don't know. So I'm going to back up to the point where I was being wheeled into the operating room.
Okay.
And I was in such severe pain that somehow, and I know this can happen, my soul, my consciousness, and who I was said, I'm done with this, get me out. And the minute I thought that, I was out. And I watched my body being wheeled into the operating room, and I'm thinking, bye-bye. I'm not going back there. And I saw the corner of the room, a big hospital corridor, and I headed that way. Don't know why. I was floating. And there was the tunnel that people speak of. I saw the tunnel, and I thought, oh boy, I'm going to climb in there. And I started to, and somebody said, not yet.
Oh.
And I said, well, yeah, yet. I'm going.
Yeah, actually. You're letting me in whether you like it or not.
So, at the time, it kind of said, let me show you. And all of a sudden, I was in a space that was alive with something. It was kind of sparkly. Things were moving. There was a lot of energy. And I started to turn around, and I realized I could see 360 without turning around.
Perfect vision too, right? I could
see, yes.
Whoa.
I could. And I thought, well, I wonder where I am. And then I realized that all these little tiny things that were surrounding me were other souls.
Oh, wow.
I was a part of something that was all rushing towards one destination, but I didn't know where. I looked off in the distance, and I saw the only color I can describe is a beautiful shade of amethyst. Ooh. Off in the distance. And I thought, oh, I want to go there. And I was told, no, but none of you are going there right now.
Okay.
So it seemed like it showed me there was more space between those little things than I thought there were. I felt closed at first, but a part of this whole massive complex. Instead of being separate, I was a part of, and I said, how do I find me? I was looking around, and I didn't, and they said, you can separate out, try it. Separate out. And so I did. I just thought, okay, I'm going to look for me. And I saw a figure with arms, head, so forth, that was basically lights. And I knew that was me. That was me separated from the others. And then I felt very alone. And I thought, oh, this feels peculiar, and I don't want them moving on without me. So I made that go away. I just thought it, and it went away.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was a part of the whole, and then I heard time to go back, and found myself outside the tunnel, and I was fighting to go back in, and I felt some hands on my shoulders and saying, it's time. It's time for you to go back into who you are for now. And then I got pushed from each shoulder blade, push, and I started to tumble. And I went right through the door to the operating room, only I was in a room on the right that was, I guess, for recovery. I saw the nurses saying, come on, wake up, wake up. My mouth opened. I went in head first through my mouth.
Oh, wow.
Went down, spun around, and came out and opened my eyes. And then I was because I was fighting the whole time. I don't want to go there. I'm not going back. And I woke up fighting, and the nurse said, calm down. It's all right. You're going to pull all the tubes out. And I was like, I went back where I was because pain from the surgery was setting in.
Oh.
So that's basically the near death. And that's the visit by an odd nurse. I did have someone draw that. So I have the picture. For years after, I would catch myself taking a nap because it took me about 5 years to recover from the stroke and get my speech to return to where it is now. And I would lie down to take a nap. And just as I would be dozing off, I would catch myself sitting up. Don't remember sitting up, my arms out, and then reaching for the ceiling because I was leaving my body, but I would only leave from the waist up.
Okay.
And then say, oh no, what are you doing? And I would lie back down and fold back into my body. And then I became really interested in how that occurred and would try it on my own. And you can do it if you want to. But
Okay.
so I did that. And I started to research all angles, all methods and ways of what was going on. And I had a spell where, under hypnosis, I recalled seeing some sort of personality that I had been in a past life.
Okay.
I knew that personality and I liked it better. I was kind of a little mousy, quiet, very shy character, sat in the last seat in school so nobody would notice me, all of that until then. And I changed back. I said, I want that personality back. And there was some sort of agreement made. I don't remember all of it, but I traded it back so that people came in to see me in the hospital and said, what happened to Denise? Asked my husband, where is she? She's different. And he wrote down that I was left-handed, and I'm not, but I write like a crazy left-hander now. That's never changed.
Okay.
I had terrific fear of dying because I'd had the stroke and went through all that. So you're scared, like, uh-oh, this could happen again. And they told me it could. Until I started to research and I found out how I had died in the past life. And I had died of a stroke due to brain tumors. I was alone in a hotel room in New York City.
Oh, wow.
And as soon as I found that out, I have no more fear.
Wow.
My mind's still blowing. Hold on. I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, okay.
Yeah. So my name back then is the same as my middle name now. Don't know why.
How did you find this other you?
I knew who she was.
Okay.
I had remembered. Yeah. And then I did have Kathleen hypnotize me so that I could experience what I had gone through in that lifetime.
Okay. Wow.
Did you find a lot of like parallel similarities to this version of you?
Yes.
So interesting.
Yeah. I've seen my grave.
Oh, okay.
And I know I'm buried with my husband.
Okay.
Yeah, on the East Coast. Yeah.
Okay.
That is so freaking interesting.
Wow, that's wow.
I know there's like so many aspects of the things that Denise is talking about right now that my brain is like off on all a million like tangents right now, and I'm trying to figure out how to rein it in.
Like I don't know what I would do if I went to like one of my graves.
Well, when I first learned
I mean that's
lives, like when I first when I first really accepted past lives, I was raised as a Catholic, so we weren't taught to believe that reincarnation like is real, right? That was like that's not a thing. So when I got away from that and became spiritual and started studying everything we're talking about now and learned that past lives are real, I was like, so wait a minute, that means that like I've walked this earth before, which means I have living relatives from that incarnation that are still here now, which means that the place I lived is somewhere on this earth, the place I'm dead and buried is somewhere on this earth, the place I used to work is somewhere on, like, it's so like
it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And I needed clarification. I needed some proof, I guess, besides what I was discovering, because I already knew what had happened and I knew my life. And so, unbeknownst to me, was an individual in a class I was taking, and it was the advanced hypnosis course that I took from a doctor here in Florida. I wanted to advance what I already knew about hypnosis. So he only accepted a certain number of people. He's a very good instructor. And if you did not show that you were able to do the hypnosis, and he's the best hypnotist I have ever experienced, then he would say, you know, I'm going to give you your money back. I don't think this is going to work for you. And they'd go out. So there were probably 6 of us left. He invited us to his home for one of our courses. And I walked in, and there were those individuals sitting around and someone on his sofa, and I sat down. Nobody was saying much of anything, waiting for him to come in. And on the table were books. And I was looking at various ones there, and I saw one that caught my interest, and I went to reach for it. The man across the sofa grabbed it and turned it upside down. And he said, "No, don't pick that up yet." And I said, "Well, why?" And he said, "Do you know who you are?" And I said, "Well, I know who I am." He said, "No, I mean before." And he said, "I've already told the doctor who you are. Do you know?" And then it clicked. I knew who he was talking about. So I said, I do. So he turned the book over, and it was his book that he had written about his experience in the same exact time period, and he knew me.
Oh, wow.
OMG.
Yeah.
Wow. What are the chances of that?
That is cool.
0.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
0. But it happened.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought, okay, I'm not dreaming. Everything I've been thinking is true. And there he is. He was kind of an architect engineer at the time and was very upset about what he had done to design something. And he was still feeling that now. So I don't know how he recognized who I had been. I have to kind of put on that persona and that style of, well, she wore great big weird hats.
Okay.
And so if I put the hat on and take a picture, you can see the resemblance.
Wow. I'm sitting here thinking about like the idea of soul contracts and how before we incarnate here, we decide like what lessons we want to try to learn in this incarnation, right? And like I'm thinking about that. And then I'm also thinking about your incarnation now, Denise, that we're talking to now, and this other woman who we're talking about with the hats, and how similar your lives were. And I'm thinking like that just proves the whole soul contract theory in the sense that like maybe the other version of you didn't check as many boxes as she wanted to after the life was over. She's like, I got to go at this again. And then boom, here you are. Right. So it's like all these things are just like lining up, and it's just so fascinating.
Well, in that lifetime, I was a huge women's rights advocate, but I was not known for that, and I was upset about it. And I know somewhere out there in a Denver newspaper, and the newspapers out there are Rocky Mountain News and Denver Post. Okay. I don't know if one of them is gone now, but somewhere in there is a picture of me standing on a sidewalk outside some sort of government building, receiving an award of some kind. And then there's a black wrought iron fence, and behind that are all these women dressed in black holding up signs to speak for themselves. And I've got to find that picture because I know it exists.
Yes, that would be great.
Oh, I wonder if we could use Grok.
Oh, we might be able to. He's trying to help figure out.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine. I want to find it. So if you do, let me know.
Yeah.
And then somewhere in there, and I don't know exactly where it fits, except it was prior to this lifetime, I was in kind of a misty, not really clear situation with someone in a robe next to me, and I was going to choose and sign for this lifetime. And he took me into a amphitheater style building. No one else was in there except for a couple of other of those robed individuals. And it sloped way down to kind of a stage.
Okay.
So they walked me down, sat me down in a chair and said, now watch, you're down to 2 and you have to select one right now. And we've told you enough. We've talked enough. We've gone over. You can choose now. So then appearing right before me were 2 separate screens. Only it looked like water pouring down. It looked like waterfalls, but I could see there was something going on behind each one. And he looked at me, tapped me on the shoulder and said, now it's time. So I went up to the front, stood in front of those, and I was being pulled to one or the other. I was going to take the one on the right, and I don't know anything about it anymore. I was leaning that way, and just as I touched the screen, I dove to the left. And this is where I am today.
So you literally remember choosing this incarnation.
I remember choosing, yeah.
Denise, The spot hasn't recovered from blowing yet. You keep like sending it back a few more waves. Wow.
I never told most of this because you get the crazy look.
Right.
To me, this is super fascinating and validating.
It is extremely fascinating, and I always want to share others' experiences and what happened to them and the comparisons, because I think they're all kind of, well, they're different, but the approach is probably different for various individuals. And I worked for, I told you, National Park Service for 8 years and 12 years for the military.
Oh, thank you for your service.
Thank you. They were not happy with my research. Wow. They caught me reading a book on the subject at lunchtime, came in, I'm eating lunch, answering phones for them. I never went out often. And they said, "What are you reading?" "Well, what do you do with that?" It was UFOs. And I said, "Just taking a look." And I happened to be in a research facility. I didn't really know completely what they were doing because I didn't have a high enough clearance. And they said, "We don't want you doing that here. So, find something else to read." So I was kind of belligerent at times. I stood the book up and they never caught me with it open again. And I got a beautiful piece of stained glass and it said, "Be still and know." And I hung that up over the book. And they came in occasionally and said, "What does that mean?" I said, "What do you want it to mean?"
How do you interpret it?
Yeah, so I retired from that.
I wonder
after 12 years.
I wonder what they were doing at that research facility. I wonder if it had something to do with the topic.
I'm sure.
And it had several things. I know at one point they had something in the building and then couldn't get it out. How do we get that out of here? And I don't know what it was. They were researching and inventing new types of warfare.
Yeah.
And what could those have been? Back then.
Sure.
I volunteered as a civilian to test some of them to see not the weapon itself, but everything was kind of in a big dome that they used to research. So I did something where they taught me how to identify, let's say, missiles. And they said, "This is what you do." Sat me in a chair, put this headpiece on, and said, "Now you start to say, 'I see so-and-so at 2:00. And I had to sign reams of paper because they said that I would get violently ill, nauseous and vomiting and so forth, anywhere from 20 minutes to 3 days afterwards. They didn't know nothing could make me ill from movement of any kind. The pilot got sick, who was running the affair. But I could go into heavy seas. I was a scuba diver, and my husband and I taught scuba. Didn't know, for a long time. Okay. I really enjoyed the underwater world. I miss it, but so I would volunteer to test various things, and others did too that I worked with.
Okay. Since you just mentioned it, I'm going to jump on that and piggyback for a second. What do you think of the theory that there's, I'll just say it flat out, alien bases under the water? I really feel like the Earth is what, 70 or 80% ocean, and 70 or 80% of that ocean is undiscovered or uncharted, unexplored. So I think they're just chilling down there, literally.
They're doing something down there, and now we're seeing them more and more as orange orbs.
Yeah.
One was seen yesterday, the day before. How does an orb drop objects from it?
Right.
And it went back underwater on the West Coast.
Also recent in the news, and I haven't even talked to you about this. I haven't brought it.
There's something that I saw last night that I didn't talk to you about.
Oh, okay. Well, let me get my thought out before this brain cell dies. There's a recent story floating around about a Florida man who says that he was kidnapped by dolphins and forced to build an under the sea city.
Really?
This post has thousands of likes and shares online. You've probably seen it at least once.
It's got to be fake, or the guy's on something terrible.
A post claiming a Florida man was arrested after someone found him soaking wet and drawing blueprints in the sand along the Sanibel Causeway. It goes on to say the man claimed he was kidnapped by dolphins and forced to build an underwater city. It's clearly not real, but the post says that Lee County deputies were involved.
They're just looking for clicks. Somebody's wasting their time.
It would be cool. It'd be cool to have a little underground water city built by dolphins, but it's total fantasy.
We wanted to find out, why would someone fabricate a post like this? John Joyce, the CEO of CRS Technology Consultants in Fort Myers, says people do it for attention.
And the whole idea is to get a thing in as many hands as possible, to drive traffic, to drive clicks, to drive their own, air quotes, news source, whatever that might be, all intended to get attention, because at the end of the day, any kind of viral post can drive enough traffic to turn into dollars.
We reached out to the Lee County Sheriff's Office. They told us they never arrested the man mentioned in this post, and the deputy in the story doesn't exist. Now, the moral of this story is to make sure you fact check, because you never know what's real or fake online.
So now you're telling me that over a dozen bottlenose dolphins like Gerald have now just washed ashore dead since you and I have been talking about Gerald. The government does not want you to know that Gerald is real. So to make sure you don't know about him, they're just killing all of them in Florida. Yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, and you can Google it, you can research it, you can go to the Florida news. Over dozens of dolphins, bottlenose dolphins like Gerald, are now just washing ashore dead. They're just showing up dead on the shore. And they're honestly trying to say it might be disease outbreak or environmental stress. You think? This one takes the cake. Food supply is diminishing. But this is the one. Human-related issues. Yeah, humans are killing them. As a person who grew up in Sarasota, Florida with dolphins and manatees, dolphins, especially a dozen of them, don't just wash up on a shore where stories have been told dead. That doesn't happen unless someone is making that happen. I wish to God that what I was telling you was fake. It was made up, but it's not. They are dying. Dolphins are showing up dead in Florida now. Isn't it ironic? No, it's not. Since you and I have talked about Gerald in March, over 20 bottlenose dolphins are dead now.
Okay, so there's a viral story going around about a Florida man kidnapped by dolphins. I'll edit it in better later, but I just wanted to show this. Wow, he looks really red in that picture. It doesn't look like that on my phone. Actually, it kind of does. Never mind.
Looks like he's sunburned.
Yeah, but anyway, so this guy says that he was kidnapped by dolphins and forced to help build an underwater city, that they communicated with him through telepathy. And, there's a lot of people online, of course, going, oh, he's crazy. Oh, he's delusional. Oh, he was dehydrated. Oh, that's total BS. But in my mind, I already know that animals are telepathic, and especially dolphins, super sentient. Yes. And I already have a theory about there being alien bases under the water, whole cities going on in there. Yeah. So to me, while some people scoff at this story, I find more points that are interesting about it than anything else. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah.
Well, I would agree with you. And, experiences that you have, if you're the type that somehow internally you invite these things, I think because you're open to those experiences. We were off the coast of Coco diving.
Oh.
And we were going, it was lobster season, and we were going to catch them and eat them right then. So they're fresh. And we were watching very carefully, because where we went was deep and cold. The water gets cold down there. If you go far enough, it's not warm like the rest of the coast going in from the beach. So my husband went over, they called it a reef. It was a pile of rocks. And my husband went over the top, and he was on the other side. It was just the two of us on a friend's boat, and we were taking turns going in. And I was moving along, trying to keep up with wherever he was at. And all of a sudden I sensed something. I looked, and only about 1.5 feet from me was a beaked whale. And it was right with me, looking right into my eyes. The sense of connection from that animal was unbelievable. I cannot tell you the emotions and what I felt. And when he, I guess, figured everything's okay, he turned and just moved right along with me. Then my husband was coming back over the rocks, and he took off into the sand. It was nothing but open sand. And I pointed, madly. I'm going, look. And he caught the tail end of it. But then when we came to the surface and got up on the boat, we could hear a noise and looked, and I'm pretty sure it was the same whale who was kind of saying goodbye, and it had the tail flipped and splashing at us. So he wanted to know what we were all about and make a connection. I know there's no question. Yeah.
Sure.
Wow.
Oh, I love you for telling that story. Thank you so much. I'm also thinking of like the Netflix documentary. Have you ever seen it? It's called The Octopus Teacher.
Oh boy,
Oh,
I know
yeah.
something
The
about it, but I don't
documentary
think I've
or-
seen it.
It may not be those exact words, like it's something
Yeah.
about the octopus teacher, and basically it's the story of an octopus and how this guy like followed her throughout her life and all the things that she went through, and how it's a very yank on your heartstring kind of documentary, and it just
Oh.
speaks to the absolute sentience of these creatures. And
Yeah.
I hate when people dismiss the sentience of animals. I'm like, dude, you
Yeah.
got it so wrong. Animals know what's going on. Like they're
do.
connected to source without filters like us. So it's like, if anything, they're more in tune than we are, you know, because we have
Exactly.
filters and
Exactly.
programming and everything else going on.
I mean,
So-
how does your dog know when you're on your way home? You know?
Yeah.
Shout out
they
Rupert
do.
Sheldrake. Shout out Rupert Sheldrake.
I mean,
Yeah.
there's been
They
research
know.
out there that substantiates the fact that
Sure.
that dogs will go sit by the window or the door once you start your drive home.
Yep.
You know, without
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Our dog knew. There's no question.
Yeah.
He would come through, and they know things like if I stayed up later than I should have.
Mm-hmm.
You know how some dogs, they've taught to say, I love you.
Uh-huh.
He would say, oh, mom.
Oh,
So he would go through, get up on the bed, put his little feet on the footboard and start calling, oh, mom, oh, mom, until I went through, okay, we're going to bed.
Oh, that's so cute. They say that dogs are our protectors in the physical realm, and cats are our protectors in the astral realm.
I wouldn't be
Which
surprised.
makes me go back to a thought I had earlier when you were talking about OBEs. What is your method of having an OBE? How do you get there?
Okay.
Binaural beats? Hemi-sync?
It's a form of meditation.
Okay.
And you just have to drop everything out going on around you. You've got to forget it. You've got to be able to meditate to that state. And the easiest way to do it is to lie on your side and expect to roll out and face yourself. So you're going to roll out and you're going to be looking at you. And you just have to start with the meditation, start with you not realizing there's anything else around you except you and who you are and what you're attempting to do. And you have to keep it up and keep it up. And then you just tell yourself, I'm going to roll out. I'm going to come out. That way you're not going to feel like you're going to float away, can't come back. And you just graduate from there.
Yeah.
Is this a specific meditation or like music or binaural beats, or is it just any meditation?
You can do binaural beats. You can play those softly. And your meditation is basically just telling yourself what your intent is and that it's going to be all right and you're going to be able to do this. It will be accomplished, that you want to see what it feels like to float free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
so practice.
I'm having another thought of our chat from Reverend Bill McDonald, where he is known to bilocate, like be seen in one place and be seen in another place at the exact same time. And he said he also saw himself returning back to him. He saw himself returning back to himself. Like the other piece of him came back and he watched him walk like into him.
I have never done that.
Oh yeah, we got his book. This is his book. I forgot we had his book right here. I remember tomorrow.
My goodness. I remember. Oh my goodness, I've got to read that. Okay. Yeah. I remember tomorrow.
Shout out Reverend Bill.
Oh yeah. I wish that I had been able to do that or try it. Self-love, self-forgiveness, and gratitude. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he must be a fascinating person.
Yeah, and he loves to talk too. He loves to talk. He's always like, "I'm an Irishman. All I got time is to talk."
Yeah, he's very active on YouTube, and he does his own shows and stuff. And yeah.
Oh my goodness, I'm gonna put his name down before I forget, because my husband had an experience. He saw his grandfather. So did a whole room full of people. His grandfather was an optometrist and was at a conference 2 states over. Okay. And they were all sitting in his home living room and just kind of chatting. And all of a sudden he came through from the kitchen area to where they were. Oh, wow. Just kind of looked at everybody. And if he walked around, his lab was on the other side, walked into his lab, and everybody thought, where is he? I want to know, chased after him. There was nobody in his lab.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Whoa. I'll send you the link to our chat with Rev Bill so you can hear his story.
Please do.
I'll
Yes.
send that to you after we're done.
Well, we've talked to him twice.
3 times.
Or 3 times.
He must have some amazing things to say.
He's also got some really cool stories from seeing UFOs in Vietnam, like him and his whole troop, seeing them out there, like surveying the battlefield, so to speak.
And he's a lifetime experiencer also.
Vietnam was just, they did things that they would never admit to. There were those things everywhere. And to witness, I've only done it once, a UFO with someone else that was at a distance, was my nephew. We have a real good connection. He worked at the hospital about 45 minutes away, and he was coming home, and he called me and he said, go outside. Can you go outside? And so I did. I stepped out front, and he was headed, he lived in this same place. And so I went out, and he said, now look up, find the dark cloud. What do you see? I saw what was very similar to a Tic Tac, only very dark.
Okay.
The cloud was dark. This was darker. And he said, do you see it? And I said, I described it. And he said, yes. And it's moving behind the cloud, back out behind the cloud. And so we watched it for a while, him from miles away and me from here. And then it disappeared.
Wow.
Another example of something similar is I used to give, and I had regulars, I used to give a type of meditation once a week. Someone loaned us their building that closed down early, and they said, go ahead, use it, and for your meditation. So I did, and then we would go out and eat and discuss what happened. And so we came out, we're getting into our cars, and I looked across the street where there was an abandoned Kmart.
Kmart, that's a throwback.
Empty. Parking lot was vacant. And right above the lines, power lines, was a huge disc. Started to look at it. Everybody's going, look. Some people saw it one way, others another way. There were, I think, 9 of us. The 8th person standing in line on the sidewalk couldn't see it.
That is so fascinating.
Could not. He was an engineer, so he was very curious. And we kept saying, Steve, don't you see that? Well, I don't know. And so we said, okay, let's go get some dinner, late dinner. And we all got in our cars and went different ways around the old Kmart where our restaurant was on the other side. We went in, I handed out paper, and I said, okay, start to draw and write down what you saw. I saw kind of a swirly stuff, kind of copper colored and gray, all inside this big disc. And it looked like it was sitting right on top of the power line, but it wasn't. It was just there. Another person that was taking someone with them drove at another angle to the left. And they saw the only tree in that parking lot where this thing flew over and dropped a whole bunch of glittery stuff. So they're watching, and it's spitting this stuff out. And then it tipped on its side and shot straight up in the air. When it tipped on its side, you could see the dome on the top and the regular disc shape. It was no longer a circle. And we all drew. Some people saw bright red, orange, yellow inside it, and felt like it was there just observing.
Okay.
Our friends still said, I don't know what you're talking about.
Which makes me believe that the phenomena, like, for lack of a more specific word, can, so to speak, pick and choose almost who gets to experience it. Because it seems like some people that are so closed off to it just literally can't see it, even if it was right in front of their faces, like Steve.
I just had an idea, and I've never thought of this before in this way.
What?
As a possible explanation for why certain people can see it and why some people can't.
What's that?
And that explanation to me, or, well, the idea I just had is, it's kind of similar to people that are kind of sort of colorblind. Some people are colorblind and they can't see certain wavelengths of light, right? So what if the object is at a certain wavelength and only people that can see that wavelength see it, and people that don't have that ability to detect that wavelength within their eye, they can't see that, similar to somebody that's colorblind.
Oh, that's a good thought.
Yeah.
I just thought.
Not bad at all.
Especially considering,
Wow.
as humans, we see less than 1% of the actual light spectrum. Like we see a tiny little sliver.
Yeah.
So that means that there is literally lots of stuff happening around us, but our meat suit physical bodies just like don't allow us to see it or experience.
Wow. Good idea.
And I mean, insects see the world in what is it? Is it ultraviolet?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Right. So the wavelength of light that they see is different. So when we see a flower and we see all these beautiful colors, the insect sees it as like something that looks completely different to us.
Mm-hmm.
True.
Right? And there's also other patterns of other patterns within the flowers or plants that we can't detect that they detect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And,
that's just an example.
What colors do animals see? Because they can see spirits.
Yeah.
There's no question that they see spirits. They're kind of barking and jumping back to get away from something that we can't see.
Right.
And then occasionally these spirits are able to manifest by using any form of energy in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Borrow ours.
Another thing that you said that I've made some connections with what other people have said, namely Bob Lazar, is you said it tipped. You said the object tipped on its side, and then
said that too.
Yeah,
I probably did. I swear.
Okay, because Bob said that's what they do when they go from one method of control to another.
Yeah, that there's like these magnetic rod things that just flip up and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think they do that particularly when they're getting ready to leave.
Mm-hmm.
When they're going to make their exit, then they tip up like that, and yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I've had this question the whole time we've been talking to you, and it's a very, I guess, general question, but like, why do you think they're here? What is their purpose with interacting with us? What is their purpose of abducting us? What are they doing?
I think they're doing a lot, but
I know.
And I think there are all forms, shapes and forms. I saw at least 3 when I was taken. Saw the same 3. One is definitely a scientist, and the focus was the focus was on something. You got it.
How did I know that?
Just what I'm going to do is this, and this, and that's it. I have nothing to say about it.
Okay.
And so they don't react to whatever is happening. They're going to have people who are mad. I got angry because he was poking at me in various ways, and so I swung at him, and it was just like, okay, try it again, and you're not going to get anywhere. I'm going to complete my mission here. And then, so would they rescue us if we were becoming even more angry than we are now? We're kind of warlords. We love to argue. Would they put a stop to it if it looked like we were going to turn completely nuclear? I don't think so. Unless it was going to affect their space. And then they would perhaps, because you think of Earth, it's an oasis. And it's being used by so many people and beings that would they want it totaled? That is so hard. How many people have you spoken to who are saying now, I feel something coming?
So many.
I feel a shift of
2027 is a huge thing that's been being talked about for a while now. Everybody thinks 2027 something is going to go down. I don't know what, but
whatever it is not very far. And it's going to be a big surprise and very sudden. That's just what I feel. That's my sense of things. So I think that the beings are using our planet. It's an oasis. We have things they need, and they're going to come get them. Then what about the question of, did they make us?
You read my mind again. I was literally just thinking that.
Did they make us?
Right. Are we their experiment? Are we their family? Are we their genetic somethings? I don't know.
Or are they us from the future?
Shout out Michael Masters.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very hard to tell. I think I already told you that I did see the ET of mine that has helped me. That's my escort and has been all my life.
Yeah.
And he has aged and it tells me perhaps it's going to be his time to move to the next level, if you will.
Oh, okay.
So many people are being called now to support and help others in such a way that they haven't before.
Yeah.
And they feel this calling and to get prepared to help them along to whatever's going to happen in all different stages. Some may just make sure that people have food and that they're safe and are under cover of some sort. Others may be guides or escorts to the next place where they're going to be. It's just such a huge undertaking for us as humans. Those of us that have been taken, have we been trained?
That's a theory of mine.
Is it to
That's
prepare for this?
Yeah.
That's an excellent question. Yeah, for sure.
Very much so. Very much so. What about all the tunnels that we now know are underground and connecting more and more?
Speak on it, Denise. Right? Speak on it.
Well, I mean,
you're touching on something there.
It's not just Earth. We've also detected tunnels on the moon, and we've also detected tunnels on Mars. That's
yes,
right.
Yes.
I mean, there's satellite images that show where you look at the image and it's kind of like a crater or cave, but you can tell that it's an actual tunnel. Right.
Natural tunnel. And there's more. There's more going on. I think I already told you to watch that show, The Cabin in the Woods, on the Sasquatch. Something is being protected there. And I believe they will go into the Grand Canyon. If I recall, I watched so many of these.
Okay.
Where something was seen, a big cave, and they found a lot to do with something Egyptian. They found mummies, they found gold, they found whatever, and try to find that cave now. You cannot. It's sealed off.
I'm fascinated by Egyptian history.
Me too.
It's how they were built. Now the new structures that they've discovered underneath. The big pyramid.
Yep.
Right.
There's definitely a lot of Egypt connections to all this. My mom also has a connection to Egypt. She swears that she has lived there before. And it's funny because she's more Catholic than me. So it's to hear you say that, it's kind of contradictory, but whatever. It's cool. But another thing I thought of earlier too, and forgive me if I'm cutting you off, but we were talking about past lives and how you went and saw your grave from your prior incarnation. And the thought came to my mind that when my mom was little, my grandmother took her to England, and that was my mom's first time being there, but my grandmother was born there. So anyways, but when my mom got there, she said that she recognized it. She knew where to go. She knew the streets.
Oh, yes.
It was she's like, I've never been there before, but how does that explain me knowing where I am and how to get from one place to the next and what was going to be around the corner we haven't gone down yet?
Yes. Oh, see, and then how do you explain that?
Right.
People that ask or tell me they would like hypnosis to remember a past life. And I ask questions first. One of them is, what is an unexplained fear that you've had? Because that probably relates to a past life. What is an area that you absolutely don't enjoy going to or driving on or driving through, walking through? You just don't want to do it. Is there a country or culture that you would feel very uncomfortable and would never travel there? There are several questions you can ask yourself. And if you can come up with some of those and don't have a reason, you've got something there that tells you, that probably happened back when.
Right. Yeah. Another thought I've had swimming around in my head this whole time is in the discussion of past lives, how sometimes, well, first of all, there's a TV show where this guy will hypnotize people, get them to uncover their past lives, and then literally research who that person was, and then he'll go and find newspaper articles and addresses and photos and family lineages and birth certificates of that prior person. So that's interesting. Then there's also kids that come through with scars. Let's say the kid has a scar on his shoulder. They'll hypnotize the kid, have him go through a regression. Turns out he was impaled by a spear fighting a lion in the Roman days or something, So it's it's so weird that we can bring physical attributes from a past life into this incarnation, which is more than just muscle memory. That's more than muscle memory.
Oh, much so. And gifts. No one can tell me that a child that shows up and at age 2, and my sister was one of them, who could play the piano, she won a scholarship to Juilliard. She didn't want to go, but she could sit down, couldn't read music, but tell her to play something, and she could sing. She was very, very gifted. An artist, a painter. Where did they get that from when they can do that out of the blue? They don't need lessons. So I think they bring that forward. I worked with a man that had a mark on his upper chest, and it hurt him. From time to time, it would be painful. And so we uncovered a point in time in a past life that he had been shot with one of those big, like a Civil War type.
Oof. A slug?
Yes. Yeah. So we started to work on having that pain go away. And if he felt it, to cover it with his hand, that mark went away when we were through.
Like physically went away?
Physically went away.
Wow. Which goes to show that you can heal past life traumas now and work backwards in real time, like shadow work. Like it unravels like an onion. If you heal something that occurred in your past and give love and acceptance to that moment, somehow it unravels all the pain and trauma you've been carrying from that.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the answer, and if you read way back in history and you look in the Bible and you look in all of these books that teach us, love stands out more than anything else. Does it not?
Definitely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Send it out and it'll come back in a good way. Yeah.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
There's been a lot of, I would say, DMT experiences that I've seen people have. And when they come back from having that journey, they say everything is just love. That's what it is. It's just love.
Yeah.
Well, same thing with mushrooms and ayahuasca and
and
all that other stuff. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Same thing. No, matter of fact, we have a church here, the ayahuasca church.
Oh, we did.
Yes.
I've heard about it.
It's in Orlando.
Yes, I did hear about that.
I have heard that too. I forgot till just now. I'm like, wait a minute, I do know about that. Okay. Have you been there?
No, I have not. I don't know how that would expand what I've already experienced.
Yeah, girl, you've been through enough.
Do I want to?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Wow.
I have observed individuals who had taken that tea. And I see what they go through and what happens when they come out of that. It's always an improvement. It's always a very spiritual situation. It's very interesting, and I don't say don't do that. If you're going to open a church and you're going to monitor individuals that want to experience, how can someone say no? So they have not shut that down, and I don't think they will.
Right.
I don't know how they did it, got it started to begin with, but leave it alone.
I think that's really important work, though, because it's like getting like 15 years worth of therapy done in like less than 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right.
They're also doing trials now with like ketamine and
yes.
Oh, university levels.
What was the other one that they just started? I don't know. There was some other study. DMT. I don't know if that's the one I was thinking of, but anyways. So they're doing studies now with like veterans specifically that have like PTSD trauma. Yeah. They're exposing them to plant medicines and whatnot, and then it's like all of a sudden all of their symptoms are just worked through in a short amount of time, and it's very transformative and healing.
Yeah, and they should, because they did experience these things. Well, for instance, my husband was given something to do and given a clearance in order to do it. He didn't know what he was doing. He had a part of something that others had the rest of. And then someone who was higher up came and put it all together.
It's giving reverse engineering.
Yeah, it always bothered him. He didn't know, like, what is this? They gave him directions, parts and pieces, and said, put this together. And when you're done, let us know. It wasn't anything that took a long time. The sightings of UFOs, of beings that they couldn't recognize as being human, that all happened, like you mentioned earlier, Vietnam vets and other countries, other war zones, same thing. Don't give them what they don't know about, like that business of the LSD. Gave those to soldiers without telling them.
Oh my God. Talk about bad experience. Holy crap.
That's what happened. Yeah. Yeah. So, basically more than 3/4 of everything is good. Has a good side. I am so glad that I've met this being that's been with me. He's an extremely gentle being. And one other little story where some people came to one of my meetings. I used to hold meetings before you couldn't find a place to hold them. The COVID put a stop to a lot of that.
Yeah.
Right.
But this couple walked in to one of my meetings, and basically I had regulars. Wasn't expecting anyone new. Here they came, and I was so curious. I kept watching them. They didn't say anything. There's something unusual about them. And I went up and asked them, I said, how did you find me? What's the story here?
Yeah.
We were told to find you.
Wow.
And I said, who? By who? Well, a being we're working with.
Oh, they said being?
Yes, they said being.
Oh.
And then I felt something immediate as far as a connection. And later on, they told me, well, we remember you as a 7-year and 8-year-old. You had bangs and you wore braids, and we saw a gray inside your bedroom with his hand on your forehead. Well, that's how I was always returned.
Oh.
The difference was there's no picture of the backyard of that home anywhere. And that window was facing the back.
Okay.
And so I said, well, describe. And they could continue on. And if I said something like, that's how I was returned, I remember that time when he took away fear and pain by doing that.
Wow.
And I said, I remember that. Were you just outside the window in a craft? Uh-huh. And I said, was that the same craft I was on? And I don't know if they were supposed to say this. They said, no, you were in a smaller one.
Oh.
I asked some more questions, and they just smiled. And they're still just smiling. And I said, am I supposed to discover some of this for myself? Yes.
Okay.
And when you meet them or see them, you will automatically think of them as one person. Because I'm doing some research with them, and there's the two of them, one other, and myself. That's 4.
Okay.
But I always refer to it as the 3 of us. And then I go, oh, sorry, there's 4. Yeah, there's something very special about them.
Mm.
And when we spoke with Kathleen, you asked her if she thinks it's possible that aliens could be literally living among us, like whether cloaked or just, like their soul in a human meat suit or whatever. Yeah. And that's the vibe I've been getting the whole time you were talking about them.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it's probably correct.
I think they are.
Yeah.
I think they are too. Crazy place to mention this, but there was it a Whole Foods? I haven't been there for a long time. One of the places that had like stuff to eat, and they had like a little cafe type thing outside. Sure. And chairs and tables inside. So I used to go there to get a lunch. It was healthy and I enjoyed it, and I would sit out and watch. And I went once with my husband, and I was facing this way. He was facing the other direction at the table. And there was this gentleman sitting at the table just past us. And he was wearing all kind of a tropical gauzy material, shirt, pants, a hat. And he had a glass of water, and he had a notebook that he never wrote in that I saw. I think he wanted to look like or appear that he was studying or making notes on something. Never ate, never touched the water. And he kept staring at us. And then he would look back down and stare at us. And I would look up and look at him. And then all of a sudden he got up, and there was a parking lot. One was at an angle on both sides, so you could see everything. He got up and he walked past the entrance to the store. There was nothing else down that side. When he walked by and went behind a pillar, he didn't come out the other side. So I got up and walked around it, and it would have been so easy to see him exposed on the opposite side of it. No, he wasn't there.
Oh my God. That's reminding me of a story where they were talking about being in church and how these 2 people came into the church. And of course, it was like a small town scenario where like everybody knows everybody. So these 2 people came in, and you could tell they weren't from around there. Nobody knew who they were. They were dressed differently. They gave off a different vibe. The whole thing was weird. They're sitting in the church pews in front of this person who's telling the story. And she said that she heard them talking to each other, but telepathically. She, in her head, heard them talking to each other, and she even heard them discover her listening in on them because she heard them say, "Oh, she's clued into us. She can hear what we're saying. We need to stop." And then at the end of the session, or I forgot what
they went running out of
mass at the end of the mass. Yep,
church, and she tried to follow them.
They left. They walked, and instead of leaving and going to the parking lot and getting into a car and driving away, no, they didn't do that. They went to the back, walked over a hill, and she followed them. And when she should have been able to see them on the other side of the hill, they were just no longer there.
Yeah.
Just gone.
They just...
Yep. Which is giving Bigfoot vibes, because Bigfoot is known to show up, be seen with orbs, and the next thing you know, poop, pop through a portal, and they gone.
Do you remember who that was that said that story?
They're gone.
Oh, I've seen it online. I don't think it was told to us, but...
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, Bigfoot is same portal vibes.
Same thing. And they show themselves only, I think, to certain individuals, unless it's by mistake. You'll see in that show that man
I'm gonna watch
presents.
that after. Yeah.
Oh, at the very end, when one of these big government agencies buys out a whole town years ago to get them out of there.
Wow.
I'm not going to say anymore. You have to hear the story.
I'm going to listen now. I'm definitely going to listen.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, cool. All right, Denise, I am looking at the time, and I want to respect your time with us today. So I feel like now would be a great time for you to drop your links for our audience, let them know where they can find you online, where they could purchase your book, and any cool upcoming stuff you have going on.
Well, the book, Alien Abduction Files, co-authored with Kathleen Martin, is on Amazon. And I no longer have a website because I'm more in research than I am doing anything else and discussing with people their experiences. But you can write to me, email, and it's dmstoner, the number 1, @gmail.com, and I will respond.
Awesome. Very cool. Do you have any cool conferences coming up or any cool events? Another book maybe in the works?
Well, I'm thinking about that.
Okay.
And what should I write? Yeah.
Okay.
So I would let you know.
Great.
If that is going to come to fruition. But I have really enjoyed my time with you. It's a great conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you. We have one last question. It's the one that we ask all of our guests. So get ready. It's a doozy.
Okay. All right. Denise, what's your greatest hope for the future of humanity?
Wow, that is a doozy. My greatest hope. Oh, I know. I've been thinking about it. And that is to eliminate this horrible anger that everybody has all the way down from country to country to individuals who disagree on a political issue. There's no longer just to talk about it and like, we'll agree to disagree. It isn't that way anymore. I want it all to stop. And I think that things would change to such a degree that there would be so much more peace on Earth if we all did that.
Yeah.
Beautiful answer. And like you said earlier, it all boils down to love, right?
It does. Absolutely. No question.
You're so sweet. I love you. This has been an amazing conversation. I just want to thank you for sharing your time with us and with our audience. Is there any last things you guys want to say or get off your chest before we close out?
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm good.
For our audience that's sticking around, thank you guys so much. Please do us a favor and smash that like button, click subscribe, ring our little notification bell, drop a lovely comment down below, and share this video with your family and friends to help us spread the good word. All right, Denise, we do a 3-piece hand gesture closer. I will demonstrate it for you, and if you wish to join us, that's awesome. If not, that's cool too. We do much love, peace, and namaste. Are you down?
Oh, absolutely. I'm down.
Yay!
Yes.
Okay, cool. Here we go. All right. Much love.
Much love, everybody.
Yay, so cute. Peace. And namaste.